This video will show you how to remove the full front and rear suspension on 2015 to 2020 F-150s.
So the first thing we're gonna do on our install here, we don't wanna stress our ABS or brake lines, so I'm gonna use a 10 and 8mm socket to disconnect the brackets for those. So that's a 10, and then there's another 10mm on this bracket up here. Then we're gonna jump back down here to the bottom one. This ABS line is held on with an 8. Then we can pull those away. I'm actually gonna separate these two as well. And we can pull that away too. Now we're gonna take a 21mm socket and disconnect our tie rod here. Now that ball joint up here is seized in this collar, so what I'm gonna do is thread the nut back on just to protect the threads on that ball joint, and then I'm gonna hit this collar with a hammer to release the ball joint. Now we're going to loosen up our sway bar end link here. I'm just gonna get an 18mm ratcheting wrench around there, and then an 8mm socket on top to hold the ball joint still. And we can crack that loose. Now we're gonna have to take the hub apart at this point, and I'm gonna start with this vacuum hose right here for our IWE actuator that pulls straight off. Then I'm gonna move to the brake caliper, which is held on with two 21mm bolts. So now our caliper is ready to come off the rotor. You don't want to stretch your brake lines out. Use a caliper hook, hook this right into the frame. And then you could peel that away. Next up is our rotor here. Now if yours is seized on like ours, you can take the dead blow and knock this off. I'm just gonna put a lug nut on a stud to catch it, and some PB Blaster around the hub here helps as well. Just make sure you don't get it on the surface area of the rotor unless you don't want to stop when you put this back together. So avoid PB Blaster on here, make sure it stays to here and here. Now we can remove our lug nut. And then we can take off our rotor. Now we're gonna remove this dust shield right here. It's held on with three 8mm bolts. Now we have to remove this wheel speed sensor from our knuckle here. It's held on with this bolt, and it takes a 5mm Allen key to remove that. I have mine on a ratchet just to speed things up. And just for safekeeping, I'm gonna thread that bolt right back into the knuckle. Now we have to get this little dust cover off of our axle nut. You're just gonna grab the thinnest flathead screwdriver you can and a hammer and sort of pry it out of there. And once that comes off, hold on to it because we will be reusing it later. So now we're gonna turn our attention to our upper ball joint here. Just like the tie rod, we're gonna back this nut off, thread it on to protect the threads, and hit this collar to release it. On top of that, that nut is also going to prevent our upper control arm from flying up and into the truck and hurting the truck or us. And to remove this, it is an 18mm socket. And you can see that pop loose, so now we're just gonna spin that nut off by hand, holding onto our upper control arm with a pry bar. Now we're gonna hop back to the 21mm socket and loosen up our lower ball joint as well. So now we move on to one of the most crucial steps here in not hurting our F-150, and that involves what's called the IWE actuator. Now this actuator is what puts your truck in and out of four-wheel drive, and it's run off vacuum from the engine. If I spin our hub here, you'll see the axle spins with it. What I'm gonna do is hook our vacuum pump up to the big nipple behind to pull vacuum on it. And I'm gonna pump this up to 24 inches of vacuum. Now that should have disengaged four-wheel drive, and as you can see, I can now spin this without the axle spinning with it. So we're in a good spot here. Again, hook this up to the big nipple, pull 24 inches of vacuum on it. Your hub should disengage from the axle here. Then you can safely remove this 13mm nut. Now the reason you want to do this is you want to disconnect them manually. If those two parts were connected, you might have to force them apart, and that actuator in there is only a rubber diaphragm and plastic teeth. So you want to be extremely careful not to force the two apart. You want to make sure that they're separated like this before you take that axle nut off and pull the whole knuckle off. So now those two should safely fall apart. And all I'm gonna do here is go back to our lower ball joint, unthread that nut, and pull our knuckle away from the truck. And it's at this point, you can also remove the vacuum. Now we're gonna remove our two 18mm nuts that hold our strut assembly to the lower control arm. Now we're gonna move from the bottom of our strut assembly to the top here. There's three 18mm nuts that hold our strut assembly to the bucket. Now the last nut is in a tough spot to get to with the air ratchet, so I'm gonna use an 18mm ratcheting wrench to loosen that up. So now we can pry down on our lower control arm using a long pry bar. Then we're gonna push up on the upper control arm and get it out of the bucket at the top. Then we can slide it straight out of the lower control arm. We're gonna start by removing our shock. We're gonna use an 18mm wrench and a 15mm socket to remove it from the axle tube. Now we're just gonna use a 21mm socket to take these 4 nuts off of our U-bolts here. Now that is going to loosen up our axle tube, so you wanna make sure you have some upward pressure to secure that. Then you can drop away that plate on the bottom. You can also remove the U-bolts from the top, and we can pull out this lift block here as well after we come down a little bit with the pole jack.
Thanks for watching, and remember, for all things Ford trucks, keep it here at AmericanTrucks.com.